you are senior director in one of the biggest FMCGs companies worldwide. What are the skills or the qualification that you are looking for?
I'm more interested about the soft skills. You need somebody who thinks well.
To be yourself, be specific. What else?
Be specific on what you did, your own deliverables versus
mistake that you think you did in your career that you would pass it to the newcomer not to do the same mistake again.
Oh, that's a tough question. I need to give it some thinking. Be choiceful. You need to be clear on what's important for you, and you cannot do it all. I didn't know the education of the people. What we try to have is a diverse organization.
Is it okay to start to date or to meet somebody at work?
It's not at work. I would say from work.
From work. From France to the world, Isabelle Neveu, a supply chain executive expert with plus 30 years of experience in FMCG. She lived in 5 countries, led massive teams, and built legacies from greenfield plant startups to billion-dollar business divestitures. In this episode, we dive deep into what it takes to lead a change, build global teams, and navigate complexity with calm from a global perspective. For this reason, please welcome to كاريرة أكثر, Isabelle Neveu. Isabelle, welcome to كاريرة أكثر.
بس تنويه هام قبل ما نبدأ، خلينا نأكد إن البودكاست ده لا يمثل أي شركة أو مؤسسة، بل يمثل فقط ضيوفه كأفراد مستقلين، وبنحط خط تحت مستقلين، لذا وجب التنويه. يلا شدوا كرسي وهاتوا ورقة وقلم وكاريركم أخضر.
Isabelle, it's such a pleasure to be with you. I'm very proud and very grateful that you allow me the opportunity to talk with you today. Our podcast is targeting the young youth, and I know how passionate you are for giving back to the community and for them to learn. I want them to learn from you, to touch how a lady manage over 30 years of experience, mother of 4.
Yes.
And great lady that I have learned a lot from you. I have the pleasure to work with you for many years. So I leave you first to introduce yourself. One more time, I'm very grateful for being with me today.
So thank you for inviting me, Mustafa.
My
Actually,
ultimate
I feel
pleasure.
honored to be able to speak to you and your listener. So my name is Isabelle Neveu. I'm French.
Yeah.
As you said, I'm the very blessed mother of 4 kids. I mean, I don't dare to call them kids because they are all young adults by now. We are so-called the empty nester with my husband. We are married for about 30 years, about as long as I've been working in the fast-moving consumer good industries in various roles. In 5 countries in total, where we moved as a family with my husband. We've been managing a dual career in international companies, so in 2 different companies, and moved with the kids. And it has brought us a lot as a family and as individual and as professional. So I'm grateful of the life I've got so far.
Yeah. It's always an inspirational for all the people that hears or know about you, especially that you managed to balance this being mother for 4 young, not young anymore or not kids anymore, and having a fantastic career. For the people they don't know, you are a senior director in one of the biggest FMCGs companies worldwide. You worked in 5 countries. You have been relocating. You manage so many different teams, which is a spot on for our topic today. So we want to touch base. We always hear about international moves and how do you can learn to capture better opportunity somewhere else. And we wanted to hear from the other side, whether you as a interviewer, qualified interviewers for many years, what are the skills or the qualification that you are looking for to interview some person, regardless of the skin color or the sexual orientation or the background?
So I think what we try to have is a diverse organization. Having a diverse organization, as you said, it from gender, cultural background, countries, sexual orientation, or whatever the diversity could be, is always making the sum much more powerful, open for new ideas. So typically when we recruit, I'm more interested about the soft skills than really the resume of the person or having the best school. So actually when I worked for the first time outside of my home countries, I did a so much better job as an interviewer than I was doing before because I didn't know the education of the people. So I had no bias. It's not a good school. It's not a good university. I would not have done that, etc. So I was only interested on soft skills. Analytical skills. You need people who think well, who can analyze a problem and come up with a good proposal. So that's the first soft skills. Leadership is obviously critical. You want somebody who will drive for action and resolutions in a collaborative way. So you typically look for people who can work well with others because we always work with others. So it doesn't help to have somebody outstanding in terms of intellectual skills if the person cannot manage the interaction with his peers. That doesn't work. So typically those would be the three most important skills, I would say, as a starting point.
Somebody to be able to integrate.
Yeah.
Coachable.
Yeah.
And
leadership. And leadership and analytical skills. You need somebody who thinks well. So,
you didn't bring in that he has to be from a different nationality. When do you start looking in the interviewing process about the nationality?
I typically don't.
You don't.
It's irrelevant.
Really?
It's irrelevant. What you try to have a diverse organization. So if you have too many people, and I had to lead many organizations that had a scope beyond one country. So in that case, you're looking for a diverse organization. So if I see that my organization is biased toward a certain group, then you try to expand. Because you know that you will bring different ideas from different experience, from different cultural background, and that's going to enrich the organizations. But when you start from scratch, you don't look.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter where you start. I think what matters is the diversity, is not where you start. So.
Yeah, and where you find the skills regardless of the nationality.
Exactly.
Because later on you educate, you coach, you teach.
Exactly.
And then the person say...
Yeah, and the person still come with its unique individual and cultural background that will bring something different versus somebody with another background. And that's what makes the organization the most efficient.
But what was the biggest number of nationalities that you manage in one team?
Yeah, I had... we started up a European organization in Warsaw a bit more than 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I had up to 30 people in my organization. 30 different nationalities in my organization. Yeah. So
a lot of people who are sitting in the university, they think that there are no, they will definitely look for a certain nationality. Of course, maybe some work permit will play a role, or but even for companies that open for multinational, especially nowadays with this open world, really the work permit come as a second choice if you have the right set of skills. So you are looking at a 30 years experience for the set of skill before anything else.
Yes, definitively.
If you can share as well with the team one example that you really were thankful that you had a different background in the team, that they were not all French or Egyptians or...
Oh, that's a tough question. I need to give it some thinking.
So for the backup plans, for example, when you have
that's thank you for helping me. Indeed. So still talking. I had a very large organization managing pan-European operations that needed to work 7 days a week, 360 days a year, and then we had to, of course, to cover as well vacation, bank holidays, and some bank holidays are more difficult to cover. So I was very grateful that we had a mix of Christian and Muslim in the team, because the Muslim were volunteering to work during the Christian bank holidays like Christmas or Easter, that are so critical for people to be in the vacation. And on the other hand, the Christians could let their Muslim colleague to take the vacation during the Eid holidays, where the Muslim could go back to their countries and enjoy time with the family. So I think it works super well as an organization in that sense.
As a reflection, when you start doing these multinational moves, Isabelle, how this has an impact on the family, on your kids, on they are no longer kids.
They were kids when we moved, so you can call them kids. No, I'm very grateful. I mean, we've been living in 5 different countries, including Turkey, which is a Muslim country. So, and it made my kids global citizen, tolerant, open for difference, who are always seeing beyond the difference. And I was very proud of my kids when I saw them being engaged and defending some of their friends from the minority later on at school in places that were less diverse, and choosing their friends from their affinity and not because of skin colors or any other consideration. So
do you have any example that really helped one of your kids or no longer kids in their, for example, education, how to manage certain situation?
I mean, I think all my kids now are very adaptable. They all speak English, which is not a given for French. The French typically don't have a very good language skills.
Yeah.
They are too arrogant and prefer to speak their own language. So they all speak very good English, which is already something I'm grateful of. And they would not be afraid to engage with anybody, whatever their age, their nationality, their skin color, their look. Okay. I mean, even if some people may look weird because they have a more extravagant type of outfit or hair color or piercing or whatever, they would just see people, individual, versus the difference. So,
Yeah. What is the one advice that you give to somebody who is seeking a job opportunity that he or she needs to work on it? I will with soft skills and hard skills. I know that you're specialized in supply chain management. But
I mean, my advice to people, first, be themselves. Okay, it doesn't help not to be themselves, and maybe then they pass the interview, but they are not going to be successful in the organization that is interviewing. So they will pay it later, and it doesn't help anybody, specifically them, because it's a failure at the end.
Yes.
So be themselves.
Yes.
Second is, when you go to an interview, you're being asked questions is to test your skills or your experience or your capability to do something. Try to be specific. Find a specific examples where you can demonstrate those skills. Come to it and explain what you did. I mean, often because you're young and you're at university, you will have worked on projects as a team. Okay? Yeah. And the result may be a team result, but try to focus and explain what you did as an individual, because that's what the interviewer is interested on, not what every else in the team has done, what you as an individual contributed.
So be yourself, be specific. What else?
And be specific on what you did, your own deliverables versus and focus on results, so on action and result.
Okay.
So I think that's what I would say, and in being specific, what you did and how did it deliver a great result that you can be proud of.
In your field, when you pick now, do you pick a certain skill, or again, as you are counting more on the soft skill on the person? If he's coachable or she's coachable, then all comes later.
All comes later.
So attitude, this is what.
Exactly. Attitude is first, because the rest can all be trained and learned. So I think the attitude is important. So somebody who is willing to learn is important.
This is a very important point. So be yourself and make sure that you are coachable, and your attitude is willing, that you are not Mr. I have opinion about everything and that you know everything. You need to be open for coaching and you need to be open for learning. This is the main skill that these kind of corporates are looking for: attitude, openness, and the growth mindset to develop. How, after 30 years, that you say, to succeed and to go from level to another?
I mean, first of all, deliver result. Okay. If you don't deliver result consistently in big corporations, that you will not succeed. So deliver results consistently. But the how matters.
The how matters.
The how matters. So if you deliver result by working on your colleagues to show up and being first, it's never gonna work.
It will never be consistent.
It will never gonna be consistent over time. That's the first things. And then that works at the beginning of your career for the young people that are listening for us. But then when you grow, you start managing a team and then managing an organization. There's very little that you do yourself. So you get the result done through your organization and your team. So what makes the difference is how well you take care of them. Mm-hmm. And taking care, a leader is there at the service of his or her organization, which means making sure that they know where they go, they are clear on their deliverables, they are envisioned, so they find that inspiring and they want to go into that directions. They are empowered, so they know how to behave to deliver, and they have the space to make decisions and to make mistakes, because we learn by mistakes. And they are enabled, so if there are barriers and they don't know how to move forward, you're there to help them through coaching, through training, through removing the barrier if it comes from external environment or sometimes within organizations, or they just need help. So that's what taking care of your people, because you get your result through them.
So if you dissect it to the younger generation, the first time when you get into the company, when you are working with your hands, the only way to grow is to consistently deliver with yourself, because you are working with your hands.
Yeah.
Then after you move to the second, so let's call managerial positions, mid-management levels, or the hierarchy as you go and up the ladder, then you need to make sure that you still consistently deliver, but via others' hand, not your hands anymore, because you start working less, more on the strategic piece. And the key thing at this point, how to learn how to envision the people.
Yeah.
And because if this is not the source of their power, they lost interest even in what you're saying.
Exactly. That's where to start.
For some of our listeners that will be women, what is the one tip that you would give them, how you manage to have in parallel of having a fantastic career, had a fantastic family, and 4 kids who are no longer kids?
I mean, the one tip would be choiceful. You need to be clear on what's important for you, and you cannot do it all. So you need to make some choices, and you need to be in peace with them. So in some times of your life, those choices will be to prioritize the family, or, for example, I said no to some career opportunity that maybe would have developed me and grow faster, but that was not the right time for the family, would not have worked for me. And I said maybe later, but not now. Thank you very much for considering me. And also in daily life, you cannot do it all. There was one time in my life where what mattered for me, on top of having a fruitful professional life that was stimulating me intellectually was to still have time to do a bit of sport. It was more important for me than having a social life and going out with friends and etc. So I parked a bit the social life for a couple of years where the kids were very young and came back to it later. So you need to make choices.
Okay. So the choices to
Yeah.
what is important for you, what's important for your family,
Yeah.
and then you build your choices around this or the decisions around this. What is the mistake that you think you did in your career that you would pass it to the newcomer not to do the same mistake again? That you have learned from it that you would love to share?
I think I made ladies' mistake.
Ladies' mistake.
Yes. So I'm going to speak to the young ladies, if you allow me.
Absolutely.
We tend to be more humble than our male colleagues. So one mistake I did at one point of my life, because the kids were young, I said that I didn't want to be promoted to the next level because I didn't see how I could, at that time of my life, I didn't see how I could cope with additional responsibilities and the kids. And I should not have said that, because at the time where I became mature enough, the kid grew a bit, and I was ready, then I was outside of the radar screen. So it took me a bit of time to catch up. So I still did. So I'm always trying to coach the young ladies to leave the door open.
Yeah.
And just not to doubt on their abilities, because they come in due time.
And better to try.
Yeah.
Better to try and then regretting it later not to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. How to professionally date in your corporate life. And I will start with some questions because we have seen it. We have seen it through our career in different countries. It's normal. So I want first to hear from you, because I'm sure you saw this many times. Is it okay to start to date or to meet somebody at work?
I think it's not at work. I would say from work.
From work.
Yes, it is. Okay. And it's relatively natural. I mean, people meet others that become their partner or not at university, or then it becomes at work, because that's where we spend most of our time. So
Yes.
it's natural. So is it okay? Yes, it is, as long as it doesn't interfere with the professional life. So that's why I corrected you, not at work.
Yeah.
From work.
Yeah.
I mean, don't start dating and have inappropriate behavior at work, because that is inappropriate. But it's perfectly fine to go out for drinks with colleagues, and then over time it become more dating than just drinks between colleagues. That's okay.
What do you think the very fine line?
I mean, it's like when dating somebody who is not from work. It's the same. So the fine line is we are individuals, so we are both consentant individual if we want to date. And then if you start with a romantic relationship from a colleague, I think you need to be mature enough to understand, will it impact your work? So if the person is not close enough from the organization and you don't work with the person every day, that's okay, and you can keep it like that and have your romantic relationship, and it's not going to impact your work. If it's somebody that you work every day with, or there is a hierarchical relationship, so boss reportee or close by, or one is can influence the career of the others, then my advice is speak up, explain the situation to your management. And in my company, we know how to deal with those things. We will find another role for one or the two individuals to make sure that we resolve the conflict. And both individuals will continue to grow and have a nice career, and it's perfectly fine. And they may stay together, get married, have kids. We have many of those cases, and we'll continue to manage.
What do you say, Isabelle, for the companies that they think this is inappropriate and they don't encourage it? Do you think it makes sense, or you think that you can turn this into strength?
I mean, you can. I mean, it needs to be appropriate again. So I think. I mean, we've all heard about stories of harassment.
Yeah.
Okay, as you said, there is a fine line, so you need to stay very appropriate. As you would do in your private life.
Yeah.
So nothing different. And then at the end, if people find their love in the company, potentially they can be even more committed if they see we support both individual of the couple of what will maybe become a family later. Then they see they can have a great career, they can grow together. In my company, because we are very international, and when people grow, one way to grow them is through international assignment. If your partner works in the same company, typically we would find a job for the others if we want to send somebody in an international assignment. So that can help. And then it's a strength, and it's easier to do if your partner work in the same company than in another. I can tell you, because me and my husband worked in two different companies, and it created sometimes some interesting situation and tough choices to make that we've all managed, but it's a bit more difficult to manage.
Yeah, so you are talking about how the companies are turning this into encouraging strength or like a benefit for the employees if they are together.
It's not. I would not say the company is encouraging to date
Yeah,
with your
I mean
colleague,
to dual career. I mean.
but they will deal with dual career when they come, because the company knows that it's unavoidable.
Yeah. Then, so they dated, they think they are a good match. Then how they move professionally again? So they need to declare it.
Yes, we typically need to
They
declare
cannot
it
continue
to
secretly.
avoid having a conflict of interest, and it's the best. And we declare and we move on, and we make sure that they will not work on a day-to-day basis together to avoid any conflict, and that's as simple as it.
And that's it. And then there is no need that one of them has to leave the company.
Yeah.
Or
In a big corporation, because the company is big enough that you can find solutions.
Yeah.
It's obviously more difficult in very small company and organizations.
Okay. And what do you tell them if it's turned south and for a reason it didn't work?
Speak up about it, that again, they don't have to work together on a daily basis.
Yeah, so they need as well to go and tell their managers.
Exactly.
This is the benefit of declaring it.
Exactly.
So the situation, like all of us, when in a personal situation, need your help to move us apart.
Yeah.
What was the typical stereotyping that you were hearing or listening? And when you dealt with the individuals, you realized that this is really a true, it's not a stereotyping, or no, it's far from that. It's
No, I mean, we have stereotypes from countries. Okay. The Germans are not flexible is a stereotype. Or the Middle East people are unorganized. Or the Dutch people are rude in their communications. And most of the time it's generally true. No, really, it's generally true. But you cannot just nail one individual because of his nationality, because you have some Middle East people who are super organized and everything is square, well organized. And you will have some super flexible German, and you will have Dutch people who
very
will
decent in communication.
in communication take all the wrong way, massage the message before they come to it, versus directness that is the most usual trait of a Dutch guy. So
the stereotype is not always correct, or sometimes it's correct.
no, but it's generally correct. Sometimes there's something, I mean, there was always something coming, from the stereotypes. And I've been through cultural trainings when I did international moves, and you're a bit educated with those stereotypes or with how people in the country you're going to relocate typically behave. And again, it's typical to be aware that they may approach things differently, see things differently, or be hurt if you behave in the way you're used to in your country, because it's not usual in the new place where you go. And it's important to be educated, mindful, and sensitive to those differences. And again, they apply for the majority of the populations, but not everybody. But those are the cultural norms that you can find.
So, Isabelle, um, can you give example really for companies that sometimes they would like to hire from only certain location or certain nationality? How really having a multi-cultural or multi-different backgrounds really helped in a tough situation, or that really make something big out of it for you on your team?
Yeah. I mean, I could have few examples. So some practical examples. So in terms of backup situations, when you have an organization that needs to work 7 days a week, 365 to cover the full globe or the full Europe even, having both Muslim and Christian in the same team helps, because the Muslim don't mind working for Christmas or Easter, and on the other one, you could the Christian colleagues would be happy to work during the Eid holidays that are so important for the Muslim to be with their family. So I think it's a practical example. Another example is, unfortunately, the usage of English is not widely spread.
Mm-hmm.
And your external partners, suppliers don't always speak English. So I had a time of business where I had a lot of Russian suppliers to deal with, and many of those were not speaking or English or as good English as we wanted them to. And having Russian speaker in the team was a big relief. So another, let's say, more practical. And then in terms of approaching things, I mean, I've been very inspired by one of my leaders from India, because he's coming from a 1 billion inhabitant country. Is actually, well, it should have put it some barriers. There's so much competition, man. Never gonna make it. Only 20 people will be selected, and actually, he only saw possibilities.
You only saw possibilities.
Yes, instead of barrier to achieve. So I think in terms of highlighting on what's possible was very impressive.
Would you have anything that you would share as a general example, even without going into details? Something that everybody was seeing it dark, or seeing it not possible, and he saw.
Yes, we had a time where we had a difficult situation with our sales going down. And we didn't know what to do. The team was swirling, not knowing how to adjust the strategies, and actually, because of his growth mindset, he's been saying, we'll find solutions. We stick to the strategy. We go back to the data. We understand really the sales drivers from the drop, which was temporary. And we came stronger after the little dip that happened.
After a little dip. So he had the faith and.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you don't want to share further
No,
details,
I cannot
but
be very
but
specific, I'm afraid.
I understand. So it's believing in the faith, believing in the team, and keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. This is the.
Through the storm. Keep going through the storm.
So to the other question, you dealt with a lot of people from different backgrounds. What is really the one thing that would make a good performer an exceptional performer?
I mean, one attribute of those people, they always think beyond their scope. They think big. They look for the greater goods versus their own little, sometimes deliverables.
Yeah. I want to stress on this one, Isabel, because it's sometimes in a lot of, regardless of the culture, a lot of people say, this is not my scope. This is out of my scope. I don't touch this. No, this is not for me. This is, what do we call it in Arabic? Madame Afef, the second floor, that she does this. I don't do that. This is a spot on. Somebody that really going beyond their scope to really try to get things done faster.
Yeah.
Or more
Even if
effective.
it's through others, but they always do. They will never go the easy way. They will go the hard way if it delivers greater result than
If it's getting better results. Yeah. And to complete this, what is the one thing that moves a good performer to be a good manager? Because we know a lot of people, technically they are very good, but when they start managing people, unfortunately, they get lost.
They get lost because getting things done through others, you need to accept that when you delegate, they will never do it the same way as you do. We're all different, and you need to leverage the strength of every single person. So you need to accept that they will do it differently and let them find their way through coaching, not waste time, but you need to leave always some freedom to the person. So, and some people, they just cannot accept. They can be brilliant as an individual doing themselves, but they don't succeed to just tailor their approach to their team members' way of doing things and achieving the result through a different path.
So accepting things to be done differently than the way that you always do it.
Yeah.
Isabelle, one more question, since we are the vast majority of the people listening to us are from the Middle East. Honestly speaking, after 30 years in your career, do you think that the Arabic talent, the Egyptian or the Middle Eastern talent in general, do you think really equipped today to compete, at least from your own experience, in the market, in the labor market? Or you think you find difficulties, or you don't recommend to have this talent?
I mean, you're perfectly equipped. No, really. I mean, it was very different when I started to work 30 years ago, where, I mean, the vast majority of top leadership in my company were white male.
White male.
Okay? White male from America or Western Europe, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay? In nowadays, we recruit talent all across. And in Middle East, we recruit, of course, more Middle East than in other places, but we also recruit people from the Middle East in some European place. And I see them growing as fast. I mean, it's statistically representative. So some people grow, some don't. But statistically, not slower, not faster. And we have some of our top leaders through the globes that are from the Middle East. So, and typically they show, one of, again, the trait is leadership, not being afraid to speak up, challenging the status quo is something which is great that we see from people coming from the Middle East. And sometimes they even help their colleagues that are coming from cultures where status quo is more difficult to be challenged to speak up, and then they see their colleague from the Middle East. So it enlightened them, and it raised up the entire organization. So perfectly equipped. I don't see why there would be a difference. And there is not. Statistically.
And in your current team, you have a big chunk of...
Yeah, I have a big chunk. I mean, even if my team is located in, my current organization is located in Europe, I would say that I have a good 25% of people that are coming from the Middle East, including Turkey, Luxembourg is Turkey, which is halfway between the Middle East and Europe. So 25 to 30%, so a good chunk of my organization, yes.
Okay. Isabelle, it's such a pleasure. I'm very thankful for your time one more time. I know it's getting late. I'm very thankful that you enable us this time to have to spend this after a long day. Really, I appreciate it. But it was I know how passionate you are passing this to the young people. So I leave the camera with you with one advice one more time for the team to close our podcast for today.
No, thank you for listening. It was a pleasure and an honor. And my advice: be yourself, be authentic, speak up, but always in a balanced way. So
With respect.
with respect. So that would be my advice.
Thank you, Isabelle. Thanks, boss.
Thank you, Mustafa.